What's happening today, Jason?
Spring lawn care tips.
Spring lawn care tips, that's right. In today's video, we're going to be starting with something that often people get wrong, and that is Scarifying.
Yep.
Picking the right tool for the right job. We're also going to be doing weed control,
That's right.
seeding,
Yep.
when you should do it, how early, and what to do if you want to go a bit earlier than usual.
Indeed.
What else have we got to do? Get the grass cut.
And
And I have a big apology to make, but more on that later. If this is the first time you've come out into your garden and you're cutting your garden for the first time, or you're cutting your lawn for the first time this spring, and this is the blade, you want to just take the tips off. This means that the grass can make and store the energy in the leaf. You can see behind me that the garden is under a lot of shade and the sun is still very low in the sky. So the more we can help the lawn by just following some simple lawn care tips, then the better lawn you're going to have. While Jason's cutting the grass, I thought we'd have a chat about weed killer. Any weed killer in general, not just this brand here. So it'd be my opinion that you shouldn't use weed killer until the grass is actively growing. That means that you use less product. In general, the less chemicals that you put into your lawn, the better overall health of the lawn you're going to have. So if you're thinking about seeding the lawn, because we're going to be talking about that later, and even if you had a high amount of weeds, I'd go ahead, if you want to do your seeding in the spring, I'd go ahead and do the seeding, and then later on in the year, I'd go on with the weed killer. I wouldn't put the weed killer on now because it's too cold. You want the grass to be actively growing whenever you put those products on, so as you're using as little amount as you can. That's a really sustainable way to look after your lawn. This area of my lawn is the same every year after the winter. A lot of the problem stems from the shade. There's a big old clematis that grows up an ash tree, and we'd originally planned just to cut it and then at a later date pull it out of the tree. However, we decided to do something a bit more dramatic. The amount of light now coming into the garden is brilliant. As I say, we did just plan to cut it off and then pull it down, but my dad didn't want the birds nesting in the meantime. There is some material still up there, and it'll come down in its own time, hopefully. Probably have me tortured because it'll come down on windy days over the course of the season. But I think really I'm just a lot happier now that we're letting all that light in. And I'm going to show you one of the biggest reasons. Every year, this bit here that was getting blocked from the shade, every year this died. And I said earlier on, we always get the weed grasses coming in here because this is the weakest bit on the lawn. So our next job now is to get the Scarifier out, and we're going to get this fixed. Now don't worry, I'm going to talk about other Scarifying blades later on in the video. Next step is to get this repaired. Now it's early March filming this, but you might be watching this later on in the season. So it really depends when the frosts come to you. But we're going to show you some tips on how you can protect the grass seed from the frost. I always like to think of the seeding in March as the amber gambler. But let's get on with it.
now, does anybody else know what Robbie's on about when he says the amber gambler? Get in the comments and let us know.
Now, for anyone new to the channel, don't forget, smash the like button if you're enjoying this and you're finding this helpful. So what we're going to do is take the Scarifier and run lines up there so as we create grooves in the soil. Go ahead, Jason. So just one word of caution. If you're using an electric Scarifier or even a petrol Scarifier and you're trying to do the same thing we're doing and put the deep lines in the soil, be very careful that you don't burn out the unit. Seeding this time of year, talked about being the amber gambler. So basically traffic lights, if you go in amber light, then there's always a risk that it'll not work out just the way you thought it would. So that's what I'd always say about seeding in March. Sometimes you seed in March and it just doesn't grow. But there's lots of things you can do to help it out. I'm going to actually bring you around and show you a bit of a behind the scenes now. This is what we call our test patch. We test out lots of things that you shouldn't do in lawn care. Lots of things people say, don't do this in lawn care. So we do the opposite to see what happens, and usually it's very surprising. This bit here, we're actually seeding out grass in January. I kid you not. We did this the day after the snow went away. This video with the recent test patch video, this is going to be out in due course, so you're going to have to wait and see what happens. But this one here, we tested a few things that I thought we might have killed it off, and it didn't. It's actually doing quite well. We're just going to handball it in. If we were doing a bigger area, we would probably put it through a fertilizer spreader. Go ahead, Jason. Whenever we come back in a few weeks' time, and if this grows, you'll see it growing actually in the lines. The stuff sitting here, it might not grow, but the stuff in the lines definitely will hopefully grow. This is the lawn lute, or some of you might know it as a lawn leveler. If you don't have the lawn lute, you can use the back of a rake. If you don't have one of the big long rakes that we use for the Scarifying, then you could just use a brush. We also use a mat, but for small spaces like this here, just a small hand tool's pretty good. One important thing to do, regardless of time of year, you want to make sure that you work the material properly into the ground, that the grass blades are still sitting proud. Otherwise, you're going to smother the grass and it's not going to grow. So this bit where we walk on and off the lawn is another bit that really struggles. So that's another bit that we're going to focus on and put this seed and the soil down onto. A little area like this, we're not going to bother with a compost roller. Go ahead, Jason. So one of the best things you can do for your lawn is to do some aeration. Now today we're just going to use the fork. A couple of months ago we did another video here and we did recently aerate the lawn, so we're not going to aerate the full lawn. What I'd say about using a fork is it's very good to use. Put it in and give it a wiggle, and that way you create fissures in the ground. Now, because it is hard work, I would recommend that you start at the high traffic places. So what I mean by that is where you walk on and off the lawn, or if you had a washing line and you're always walking up and down that sort of area, that's where I'd start and focus your areas there. And then if you have the energy, do the rest of the lawn. So we talk about this quite often on the channel. A lot of people will tell you because these forks are solid, they compact the ground down. But whenever you put the thing in and give it a wiggle, you're creating fissures in the ground. It's what a professional Verti-cutting does. It goes down in the ground, it pivots, and it comes out. That's what you're doing as well, creating fissures underneath the ground.
Finally got Robbie doing some work, but remember, the closer to winter and the softer the ground that you get this done, the easier it will be. So now I'm going to use a really handy tool on the iGrowCarpet website called Measure Your Lawn Tool. So now I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to hit Find My Location, Allow, and it takes us straight into where we are. And then I'm going to hit Start Drawing. I'm going to put the points all around our lawn and finish at the final point, and then it's given us here the size of the lawn. We're going to click on Spring Feed, scroll down. We want to do the green shock iron, show other rates, and we're going to be putting it on at the lower rate, so we need 284 grams of product. It also shows us the rates for our seaweed. So this app is absolutely amazing, and apart from being free, it shows you application rates for your lawn for all of the iGrowCarpet products. We've come over here away from the paving because iron will stain your paving. We've measured out the correct amount from the calculator, so we'll get that put in. very messily.
That's why we're doing it here.
Now time to measure out the correct amount of seaweed. There we go. Get that in. Here's a quick tip for you. Fill your sprayer with 3/4 of the water. Put your product in, then top it back up with the rest of the water that's needed. So we use the posts to ensure we get an even spray across the lawn.
So if I was feeding the lawn today, this is the stuff I'd be using, but we're not doing it today because I might do a bit more of a lawn renovation in a month or so, so that's why we're not feeding the lawn. So our next job is to use some fleece. We'll put the fleece down over the top of the grass seed. As you've seen out on the test patch, what the fleece does, it literally acts as a blanket and it keeps the seed warm.
What's this? What's that? What's this?
It's easy to get confused, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Going to say right from the outset here, lots of manufacturers call different tools, different things, so as they can sell you more products, and it's not always exactly what it is. So always bear that in mind if you're looking and you see. So, for example, you're going to see this in a minute. The manufacturer that makes this calls this an aerator, when in actual fact it's more of a scarifier, yeah. But we're going to explain it. So, to start with, the springtime rake, the most basic scarifier going, but it's not a scarifier. We call this more dethatching.
Yeah.
That tool there, pretty much.
This is basically I would call this a mechanical rake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, dethatcher.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of these here. Generally, for the lawns we look after, I don't think they're that suitable, but if you use one, let me know down in the comments. I would rather use either a Scarifier or a Verti-cutter. I think they do a better job.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the difference between a Scarifier and a dethatcher.
Yes.
Scarifires, tend to be a bit more aggressive and go further down into the soil profile, but not necessarily down into the soil. If you go down into the soil, then that's whenever you start damaging the tool and you're probably doing it wrong. But you can see that they have bigger teeth. Scarifier, compared to a Verti-cutter, the blades are further apart.
But they also come in a swinging blade as well.
Yeah, you can get them on a swinging blade, so either or. More just like a blade that goes in and cuts the grass and the stolons.
Yeah.
And the rhizomes. Yeah.
Profile, yeah.
And these are the ones that tend to, for anybody new to lawn care, go, are you damaging? Are you damaging?
What have I done to my lawn?
We were to warning if you're buying one of these off Amazon.
Buy the handle.
So obviously it comes in a range of different tools. We did a video a couple of years on the cheapest Amazon tools. So we're not going to go through what everything does. I'll link that down in the comments. So now we have our Verti-cutter.
So the spacing is a lot tighter.
Bent grass grows. People will tell you this is the benefit behind it. This is why I don't like it for lawns. So it basically comes along in one, you have a shoot coming along and then a plant goes off it and then you have another shoot and the plant comes off it. And what this does, it cuts them.
The stolons.
Yes, it cuts the stolons. And then off the stolons, whenever a stolon's cut, you get an offshoot. That's why whenever you've already cut your lawn with, if you have like a finer lawn, like a golf course or an ornamental lawn, you have that really, it gets thicker and denser whenever you're verti-cutting it on a regular basis. It's a really good job. Somebody asked me recently in my comments, or why don't you want that? Why?
Oh, the spongy.
The spongy grass. Why do you not want the spongy grass? So if you think about whenever it gets dry, you want deeper roots. So if you have, especially with your bent and your fescue lawns, if you have a really spongy grass,
in the dry spells, your grass is going to die off a lot quicker because you need deep roots to get the moisture.
To get that water. And then the same as well, if you get a real wet spell, it's going to suffer again. So that's why it's important. That's why you don't want that spongy layer, and that's where this comes into its own. This tool isn't just for people that have fine ornamental lawns. This tool has something that's really good. I'd say every lawn owner should have one of these.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a wee shout out to a company, Tech. The guy sent me this out. Now, that fella only works part-time at his business, so he's not always available. But as far as I know, he's the only people in the UK to make one of these for the right sort of money. If you want to get a Verti-cutter for a machine, it costs you an awful lot of money. That's why I'm happy to I always give them a shout out anytime we're using this here. This is the best thing to combat your weed grasses. So, what's the weed grass?
Poana, annual meadowgrass, or for the Americans or North Americans, it's annual bluegrass.
Yeah.
Or poa.
Yeah, no one has different things around the world. So what this basically does is, because your poa doesn't spread by stolons or rhizomes, it produces almost by seeds, so, and it all year round.
Yes.
So it never fails to amaze me. You go out into your lawn after winter and you go into, you're in your lawn for spring and you're like, where did all these wheat grass?
What is happening?
Yeah, where did all this poa come from? It's because it seeds it all year round pretty much. When you slice through it with a Verti-cutter, it doesn't have the same ability to recover. Why doesn't ryegrass get hurt in the same way?
Unlike poa, perennial rye has a robust crown and tillering capacity. The vertical slicing stimulates basal tillering in a similar way to how mowing stress encourages it. The plant pushes out new shoots from the base in response to the disturbance.
Holy moly, where did you learn that?
The Free Learning Hub.
Make sure to check it out. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.